Yeah, so we just make a little small talk. And so that I like this because when it shows up on the Facebook page, for example, you see our faces and we start moving if you look at us. Whereas if we start with just an image up and then put us on there, that doesn't happen. So that's nerdy, but we are in fact now live. Hello, everyone. My name is Troy Myers. I'm a graduate of the Stone Coast MFA in Creative Writing. About almost a year and a half ago, I started this weekly broadcast with Amanda Plow, my colleague. We are now working with Shannon Bowring, also from Stone Coast MFA. Stone Coast is a national program, and we were lonely last January and used this as a way to connect and network with alumni and friends and colleagues. Very relaxed, very easy place to read if you're an alumnus of Stone Coast. We've had some faculty members. Rick Bass was on here. Ariane Hamburger was on here. Deborah Marquardt. We'd love to have you come on, and also special guests as we have tonight. So I always say hi to my mom. Hi, Mom, watching in the morning. And I'll introduce our two readers tonight briefly, and then we'll go on to the reading itself. But Sally, we'll start with you, I guess, because Natalie's going to read first. So I just have to say, even though we're just meeting you, that I asked Sally to come read. She didn't go to Stone Coast. Genzo Duque read here, and he's like, pretty good, right? And he never went there either. Morgan brought him.
Crashing the party.
You're crashing. Well, you're invited. There's a fantastic journal I discovered a few months ago called Cave Wall. And I saw 4 of Sally's poems in there. I thought these are some of the finest poems I've seen written in contemporary English. I've been teaching lit for a really long time. So I emailed her and said, would you please come on and read? And we can't pay you. We don't have a budget. She said, I will. So I'm very grateful to have you tonight, Sally.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Where are you tonight? What part of the country?
I am in Columbia, Maryland, which is between Baltimore and DC. And I want to thank you so much, Troy, for having me. I'm extra thrilled to be the fact that what connected us was Cave Wall, which is such a terrific journal. Like if anybody is watching and is curious about it, I recommend they check it out. Rhett Eisman-Troll is the founding editor, and I'm a huge fan of Cave Wall. I think I own every copy ever made because I subscribed, and then I loved it so much I ended up buying back issues. So it's a great journal.
I sent out for like $65. They're going to send me every issue.
Awesome. Ever. You won't regret it.
I believe you.
I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Me too. I read the Atlantic for the political articles. They're great. Poems, hit and miss, and a lot of the big magazines, hit and miss, in my opinion. But Cave Wall, wow, in that issue 18, everything was strong.
Well, and partial disclaimer, I am now a contributing editor for Cave Wall, but that's only been one issue so far, and I don't know if I'll be had back for that either. But I think I pledged my allegiance so strongly that Rhett just invited me in a little bit. So it's another party I crashed.
Congratulations, Sally. You were invited to that one too.
Rhett is terrific, and what they're doing there is amazing.
I've just really been sending out work lately doing this broadcast. I was not really writing when we started this, and so I sent them work. So, but good. It's blind reading, so it doesn't matter.
But yeah, it's all anonymous.
I think they're fantastic. Yeah, anonymous. I love that. Natalie, you're back. Where are you tonight in the U.S.?
I am in New Jersey.
Okay, and clearly you weren't born there. I'm guessing you're lovely.
And thanks so much for having me back again. And I think I said this last time, but no, I'm very much not from New Jersey originally. I am English, but I've been living in the States for 4 years now, and I love it. It's my home. So
fantastic. And you're here with your husband, I think. You both emigrated, or?
Yeah, just me, my husband, and my cat. That's it.
Okay. Is your cat also English?
My cat is English. Yes,
okay.
We bring him here.
Are English cats different?
My cat is just different, full stop. I think he's been traumatized ever since he had to do the transatlantic flight on his own. And ever since he is kind of unhinged. So, yeah.
Wow. He needs some immigration therapy, right? He's settled to a new culture. And
yeah, I mean, he's very happy here. It's just he doesn't particularly like other people who aren't myself and my husband.
Okay.
That sounds like a cat to me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's just British cats.
Maybe. You haven't met my cat though.
Okay.
Well, Natalie, you said you'd like to go first tonight, correct?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Okay. So I will tuck Sally away. I'll talk to you for just a couple minutes, and then we'll let you read, and then we'll bring Sally back, and we'll hear her poems tonight. So Natalie, you did go to Stone Coast. When did you graduate?
I did. I graduated last summer.
Oh, that's right. So you're pretty new.
Yeah, pretty new out in the world as a writer without the support of Stone Coast. But I will say, just having Stonehouse and having the community and having kind of all the amazing people that I met through that program, and then since subsequently, yourself, Amanda, Shannon, you all do such an amazing job. So.
Oh, that's really sweet, Natalie. So you're welcome any Sunday night. Like, you just tell me when you want to read. We'll bring you on.
Thanks so much.
It's just, this is family, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the story that you read last time, which chilled my bones, like I have not forgotten images in there. What was it called again? Port Swing? Is that right?
Port Swing, yes. Great memory. Yes.
And you won an award for that since then.
Yeah, I actually won the award for the ironing story. I read 3 stories, one which was also about my cat. I also write about things other than cats, but yeah, that. So I read the ghost story, the ironing story, and the cat story. But yeah, that little porch swing story that got published a couple of months ago. But yeah, it's.
Where can we read it? Is it online or?
Yeah, so it's on the Dark Sire Literary magazine, on their latest edition.
Dark Side?
The Dark Sire, S-I-R-E, and you can buy it on Amazon.
Oh, Dark Sire, like Dark Father. Okay, cool. Like, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the images in that just incredibly original.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So glad you're back.
Thank you.
And what are you bringing tonight? What are you going to read for us tonight?
Yeah, so I have something which I hope is maybe not as creepy, but it's definitely more my wheelhouse. So, so I'm going to read an excerpt from my my novel. My novel is called Twist Me and Turn Me, which you will see. I've kind of chosen a passage that explains that little phrase away. And this book is actually out on submission at the moment. It went out a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah.
Twist me and turn me, right? Like twist,
yes,
not twist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and you'll see why. And the book, the way I'm going to read it, so it's written in alternating chapters. So we have the present and the past. And the section I'm going to read to you is from the past section, and so it's our kind of our main character, and you'll see kind of things getting a little bit sinister with her childhood, and it's set in England and it's written in UK English, so I forgive anything that maybe isn't so natural to a US audience, and I can explain if you have any questions.
The OURs, stuff like that. Good.
Yeah, it's a little bit more nuanced than that, so there might be a few.
Good. I like the international flavor you're bringing here, the energy. It's very cool.
Yay.
So Twist Me and Turn Me is your book that you're shopping right now. You're reading from that tonight, and it's all your time, Natalie. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joy. 16 years ago. Tonight is the night that Cassie gets initiated. No, it's more than that. It's an investiture, a new beginning, birth. Cassie is wearing her promise badge upside down, her neck scarf toggled flush against her throat. She can feel her heart hammering under her uniform, and her palms are drenched. Between her legs, her culottes are bunching between her arse cheeks in the most awkward way. She's desperate to pull out the fabric, to let her bum breathe, but she can't without 20 little girls noticing. And 20 little girls are looking only at her. She clenches. The pixies knock on the pretend door. Who's there? Brown Owl hoots, her thick, tacky glasses tucked to the folds of her face. A little girl? Cassie crackles. What do you want, little girl? I want to be a brownie. Why? This is the part that Cassie has to improvise. She's read the manual. It instructed that she can say just about anything trite, like, I want to make friends, or I want to get my agility badge. Instead, she chooses to state the bloody obvious. I want a sister. A few of the girls giggle, the sound harsh and infantile. Brown Owl shifts her sizable body to the crowd like a cloud casting a shadow, invites the question, "Shall we let Cassie in?" "Yes," holler the girls. They form a semicircle around an oval mirror that has been placed in the middle of the floor. Around the circumference of the mirror is a woodland sprig of furry foam moss and some fabric hollyhocks, a childish effort to replicate the forest floor. The mirror is supposed to represent some kind of woodland body of water, the one from the story in the Brownie Guide manual, the reflection pool. "Now," says Brown Owl, "it's time for old Brown Owl to do the honours." She grips Cassie's tiny shoulders from behind hard. Her thumbs are lodged below Cassie's wing bones. Her grip hurts, but Cassie doesn't say that it hurts, because Cassie knows what's coming and she doesn't want to spoil anything. She clenches her eyes, sees a blast of plum, followed by fireworks of silver streaks. "Twist me and turn me and show me the elf." She's being spun around, fast. The stars come, tiny stars, hot and bright, a cat's eye runway in a navy sea. She feels her brain throb at the heaviness of the spin, the intensity of it, and she is reminded of how she felt for hours after she nicked some of Mum's post-tennis drink the other day, dizzy, but also a little, brilliant. She's never felt so brilliant before. It's as though her brain is 1 millisecond behind her skull, catching up with the direction in which her head is being thrown, and she wants more of the clear stuff right now. I looked in the water and there saw... Shoot, it's time, her part. Cassie is jolted into place. She opens her eyes, only to be met by 1,000 dazzling stares from buttercup-capped little girls who are questioning her very existence, the very point of her being. Myself? She asks it as a question when she knows it should really be a statement. Myself. Cassie is about to become herself. Myself, she asserts, no question about it. Brown Owl adjusts her pin on Cassie's sash, turns it the right way up. There's a good girl. Now, it's time to recite the promise. Cassie clears her throat, points 3 fingers up, her thumb clamping down her pinky. I promise that I will do my best to love my God, to serve the Queen of my country, to help other people, and to keep the Brownie Guide law. And the Brownie Guide law is what exactly? Don't be shy, there's a dearie. A Brownie Guide thinks of others before herself and does a good turn every day. This time, Cassie does frame it as a question, searching around the circle for approval. Brown Owl's thumbs are still in Cassie's back, but somehow there's applause. Somehow there's the acknowledgement that Cassie, yes, Cassie has done it. Cassie is truly herself. The other girls are clapping and cheering and whooping. It's done. It's all over. Cassie is initiated. She's made the Brownie Girl promise, and she said she'll keep the Brownie Guide law, and that's enough, isn't it? Surely that's enough for them to accept her. Cassie releases the breath she's been sucking in. Her culottes have ridden even further up her arse, and now the scalloped edge of her knickers are scooping inside her all the way, and it makes her really, really need the toilet. She peers into the mirror pool once again, past the patent point of her polished Mary Janes, and there she is, all chunky bunches, bloodless cheeks, and behind her are the shadows of all her new friends, her new sisters, waiting to pounce. A few of the girls' parents agree to shuttle them down to the front of St Christopher's in West Lulworth to Durdle Door that Sunday. They pull up at the large tarmacked car park adjacent to the Durdle Door holiday park and deposit their children for the afternoon, like they're dropping off plastic at the local recycling centre. Just a few days until school starts, this trip is the Brownies' swan song, and they know it. There's a lot riding on this to be the highlight of the summer. Cassie's never been to this particular beach, Man o' War, even though she can just about see the arch of Durdle Door from Mrs. Buxton's cottage. Durdle Door is where tourists go. Man o' War is quieter, not as well trodden. It's perfect for locals. The girls are excited, but barely able to contain their yips and squeals. It's a hot day, the best possible Sunday of the waning season. They are wearing their brownie uniforms over swimming costumes, jelly shoes on their sweaty feet, their shoulders light with backpacks, beach towels, and Factor 25 sun cream shoved deep inside. It's a 15-minute walk from the car park, down the precipitous, pebbly beach to reach the cliff-carved steps above the beach. The coastal warden crawls his gaiter up and down the steep path, saluting the girls as they skip past. Claudia leads their 6, Cassie behind her, then Esther, Carly, Ruth, and Fish bringing up the rear. Ruth is picking up bits of floating heather and flicking them at Fish's head, trying to get them to fly up her nostrils. Girls, Brown Owl yells when they land on the beach. Roll call. They rattle off their numbers. Good, good. All right, listen up. Brown Owl has swapped her regular glasses for prescription ones, through which the whites of her eyes are still visible. It looks like she has conjunctivitis. She's wearing khaki shorts and a tank top that reveals a great ravine of cleavage that's already started to crisp and burn in the unforgiving English sun. You have 25 minutes to go explore. Then we'll kick off the swimming badge assessments for whoever's signed up, right in this little spot here, inside the Orange Boys. Got it? Great. Go on, away with you. Afterwards, Brown Owl, aka Linda Harmond, will claim to the police that she never said this, that the girls were specifically instructed to stay within the perimeters, out to where the sea stacks punctuate the opening and close of the seashore and no further, to stay away from the hazardous rocks and chalk-dusted cliffs. But this is a lie to cover her ass. What she can't account for is that there are no lifeguards out on duty this late in the season, that it was never safe, not even for a swimming test, not even for them to attempt to display their proficiency and get a Brownie Guide interest badge, that she should never have let them out of her sight. The girls scream, the high sounds vanishing into the breeze. They shed their exterior clothing on the spot, exposing colourful swimming costumes as shimmery as mermaid scales. They hold hands as they hurtle towards the water's edge, awaiting the assault of a cold splash, the slap of it against their bodies. The water off the Jurassic coast is not exactly known for its warmth. Come on, whispers Claudia, we can swim later. But I need to practice front crawl, protests Avery, for my swimming badge. Cassie secretly agrees with her. Both of them are going for the badge. There's a lot at stake. Shut it, Fish. You're a fish, aren't you? You're supposed to already know how to swim. Follow your leader. The early September sun has already begun its descent. The sky is a splash of cyan, awash with clouds of a cartoonish pink that suggests a storm is bubbling. In the middle distance, Cassie spots the spin of a lighthouse, the same one that she sometimes sees from her bedroom up on the bluff. A line of rocks that lead out to the ever-constant arch of Durdledore. The pixies head over to the mossy rocks, hidden by the overhang of the nearest cliff. Brown Owl doesn't notice. She's watching the other girls splashing in the shallows. Hey, check this out. Carly, Scrappy and Cockshaw is the one who discovers the entrance. The aperture is about 7 feet up into the rock face, partially hidden behind a dehydrated shrub. She's pulling back the drooping branches, revealing something dark and beckoning and endless. Something mysterious. Something cool. What have you got there, Carls? It's like some kind of massive hole, like a doorway or something in the cliff. So weird. I've been here a million times with my family. I've never noticed a hole before. Maybe the tide just like made it recently. Is like a tide hole a thing? Oh, hell yes. We should explore, says Esther, her eyes lit up with the promise of adventure. We shouldn't, Cassie says. Yes, we should, Claudia overrules. What's wrong with you lately, Cass? Where's your sense of adventure? Cassie doesn't answer. A protest about the swimming badge would sound weak. How can she explain that what's wrong with her lately is Avery, that all she's trying to do is keep her at bay so that she doesn't tell the others all about the hair pulling and expose her? Cassie wonders if it's because she's trying too hard to fit in, showcase her brownie skills like English breakfast tea making and handstands. Have the other girls got her sauce? She's been balancing her life as a brownie with this super cool, enigmatic quality. It could so easily shift. She could so easily become the next Fish. Who's to say she isn't already? And then, as if she didn't have enough to contend with, there's the Mrs. Buxton problem. Bad enough that she's the orphan with the weird foster history. Now she has a new mum who drinks way too much of the clear stuff. Much more so now that the other girl, the real daughter, is a thing. Cassie glances up to the east, in the direction of the cottage by the sea. It's up there, behind the heathery bluff. Mum has been sleeping a lot more recently, been much more reclusive. She's been detaching herself, as if preparing for the summer to be over, for both of them to go back to school. She says, "Not now, love," when Cassie hands her a tennis racket to play the Williams sisters game. She falls asleep in the bath. Cassie's had to drag her out from under the armpits a couple of times now, her pink skin slippery, her boobies flopping sideways like squishy submarines. Mum used to be interested in her brownie stories. She used to ask good questions. Now she just locks herself in the garage with the space heater where the clear stuff is kept. Cassie used to quite like the clear stuff. The few times she's tried it herself, she's felt all warm and squishy. Now, seeing how it's been messing with Mum's head recently, she absolutely hates it. Mum isn't magic. She was never magic. It was the clear stuff all along, which, like any magic potion, is starting to wear off. "Yeah, what's the matter, Cassie? You scared?" Ruth teases. The pixies giggle. Cassie tries to think of a good reply, even though, yes, she is a tiny bit scared. "No." "I'll go first," says Avery. "Yeah, Fish. See, even Fish isn't scared. Go, Fish, you can do it. We believe in you." Shitballs, Cassie thinks, one of Mum's favourite curses. Fucking shitballs. All she knows is that crawling into this hole is in the face of a cliff is a terrible mistake. "Here, give me a leg up." Avery puts one hand on the taller girl's shoulder and one foot on her linked fingers as leverage and hoiks herself up towards the dark opening, picking her way up the precarious scree. With all her heart, Cassie doesn't want it to be Avery doing this, but she doesn't particularly want it to be her either. In a flash, Avery's umber culottes have retreated, the soles of her plasticky jelly shoes scuffle in, and she's vanished into the cliff face. "Fish, what do you see in there?" cries Carly, one hand scooped around her cheek to make the sound carry. There's a too long wait, a nervy, chesty giggle. The girls look at each other a little edgily. "I'm going in after her," says Cassie, suddenly aware that she should never have let Avery go in, that they should be splashing barefoot in the safer, shallower waves right now, practicing their strokes for the swimming badge test, instead of out here, out of Brownell's sight, where the waves are creating an angry froth against the foot of the escarpment. "Here, give me a leg up." "Don't be so stupid," says Ruth. "It's getting late. We have to be back at the meeting point by 5:30. "Fish!" Carly tries again, shouting at the direction of the hole. Silence. "Look, what else are we supposed to do? We can't just leave her in there." The girls look at each other like it's a possibility. "No, yeah, Cassie's right," says Claudia, keen to claw back authority. "We can't go to the beach without her. You go in, Cass. We'll spot you." "Good," Cassie says, taking action. "Watch my stuff." She drops her rainbow Jansport backpack at their feet, the zip loosening. Inside, some squashed tuna fish sandwiches that Mum made her for the day out at the beach are turning. She can sniff the metal aroma through the canvas. Above their heads, wheeling seagulls circle, ready to attack. Cassie crawls in. The hole is too narrow for an adult, but plenty wide for a 10-year-old. There's a body's length of a tunnel, which, to her surprise, opens up almost instantly like a giant yawn, and she finds that she can get up off her hands and knees and stand upright with plenty of headroom. She brushes the sand from her hands, dirty bits of seashore and pinkish pebbles, and squints. It's bright in here, daylight bright. Directly above her, at least double her height away, is the scar of rock, a separate opening in the roof into which the daylight streams, highlighting the stalactites replete with chalky minerals that exude, almost radiate whiteness. Underneath her shoes, it's very wet. Icy seawater is squelching up into her toes, and below her, much lower than where she's standing, there is the basin of a pool. Not a large pool, but a pool big enough to swim in, and the water, although speckled with light from above, looks dark and gloomy enough to drown in. Cassie shivers. "Fish?" she tries nervously. "You in here?" Her voice echoes. "Avery?" No answer. Almost as soon as she finishes speaking, as if on cue, there's a sound, a ghastly, unmistakable sound, and all the blood starts to expunge from Cassie's face. She whips to face the tunnel from where she entered, cold shivers dropping down her back like a lift plunging, floor after floor after floor. The sound comes again, from behind and below her, from the basin, from the pool, loud and echoey and terrible, a milk-curdling scream. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So I'm now scared to be a pixie brownie. Yeah, that was frightening. I think it was Raymond Carver talked about imminent menace in his stories. And even from the very beginning, when she's going through initiation, something feels dangerous, unsafe, kind of unfamiliar and alien.
Well, I didn't
Is
want to give too much away, and yeah, but I hope that you kind of instantly saw the reason for the title, Twist Me and Turn Me, and yeah, this is a particularly you know, a big turning point in the novel, especially in the kind of the past flashbacks where we learn a little bit more about her childhood and some of the kind of misadventures perhaps that she got up to in the Brownie Guides with this group of not particularly nice girls.
Yeah, they don't seem particularly nice. Now, I'm slow. And what's the twist me and turn me then?
So it was actually one of the phrases from the promise from the ceremony.
Yeah.
Twist me and turn me and show me the elf. I looked in the water and there saw myself.
Is that really a Brownie Guide thing that you say, or no?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's a kind of traditional, I'm not sure if it's the same in the States, but certainly in the UK, there's a promise and there's a law, which I recited, which is a bit about swearing allegiance to the Queen. And
Right.
yeah, certainly in England, there are very specific rituals.
You were a Brownie Guide.
I was.
Good.
Yeah,
So,
nothing so terrible happened to me, but I certainly remember a few of these strange little traditions, which I've been wanting to write about for some time. So yeah, they've made it into a novel.
England has some pretty scary brownie, pixie, elf lore.
Right.
Right. Pre-Tolkien and the sort of, the noble elf, full-sized elf. So I'm a little creeped out, actually, which is, I think, what you're shooting for. That's good.
Yes, I think I creeped you out once before, so I've done it twice.
Oh, you've more than creeped me last time. Is you consider a YA novel? Are you writing for younger readers, or?
It's actually not. So the present is certainly an adult novel, and then this kind of adds that, like, I guess the layer, the kind of childish terror, and the scenes actually catch up to the present. So the past kind of catches up, and then there's a layering of the story. So
good. Well, lots going on. Alcohol abuse in the home. Yeah.
Correct. Which we kind of see reflections of in that adult Cassie as well.
Okay. And you're shopping this novel, Twist Me and Turn Me. It's out there.
Yeah. So my agent took it out just a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, crossing fingers that hopefully I get
good luck, Natalie. Truly, it's some fine writing, and novelists can actually make a little money, unlike poets. So good luck out there with that.
Oh, well, if I was in it for the money, well, I don't think I'd be in it for the money. In it for the, culture.
For the culture, yeah, I like that. You'd be writing different.
The sheer torture of writing.
Oh, the torture.
Yes.
The culture.
I don't know why we do it to ourselves.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And again, if you weren't here right at the beginning, Natalie has a story called Port Swing out at Dark Side, which won an award and she read last time for us and is really quite chilling and scary. And I will bring on our next reader. Natalie, we'll bring you back at the end if you're still around, so we can all say hi and bye.
Great.
Sound good? Thank you again so much.
Thank you. I can't wait to hear from Sally as well.
Yeah. Hey, Sally.
Hi, I'm scared too. I was a brownie.
Oh, you were?
Yes, and I can attest that in the United States we also make the pledge to the mirror. I remember this.
Oh, great!
Yeah, I don't remember an elf, so I'm wondering if that was part of our thing. But yeah, I was really having flashbacks, and now I'm terrified, even for myself, for my past self.
Isn't that? I mean, it's become a scary little oath. The brownies.
It is. Well, it was a little scary at the time. I mean, it's the mirror that's the body of water, and no, I think it's a terrific choice, actually. Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Really
so inventive.
The best way.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Natalie, too, for your response. We'll bring you back in a little bit, Natalie. Very cool. Thank you. I can do this. There we go. Sally, welcome.
Thank you. I'm
I've already
thrilled to be
said
here.
this. I'm
I'm
so
sorry.
glad you're here, but I discovered Sally's poems in Cave Wall, issue 18 a few months ago, and I thought they
Edited
were
by
there
Rhett
4
Eisman
poems.
Troll. So
Red
props to
Eyes Went
her.
Troll. I sent them poems. I sent her a letter saying how amazing I think her journal or his there's like 3 of them, I think, with the same last name.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, and I said amazing journal. And I stand by it. Fantastic poetry in there.
Yeah, no, Rhett and Jeff do an amazing job. And these days at least, if your poem gets accepted, you get a call from Audrey Troll, who is their daughter, who who is the acceptor, which is so
You said she's
wonderful.
the official poem acceptor.
Yes, she's the official poem.
How old is Audrey?
Oh gosh, you put me on the spot here.
Oh,
It's been a
roughly.
while since I've seen her.
Little or big? Like
I'm
adult?
thinking second grade,
Okay.
third, maybe third. I don't know.
I
She's
almost sent the letter just to Audrey because,
yeah,
you
well,
know,
yeah.
the official poem acceptor. So I
She's
thought,
wonderful. She'll call you on the phone to accept too. It's terrific. But it's a wonderful journal. Anyone who is remotely interested should check it out. I was telling you, Troy, earlier, I have every single issue. I bought the back issues when I started. And yes, I am now, and this just happened. In the last issue, I was the a contributing editor, but I was first a fan and completely a fan. It's a wonderful journal.
I heard about it when my friend Brady Kim Finkel had a poem accepted. Maybe the one you edited. I'm not sure. He's graduated with me. I'd never heard of it. It's their website is very low key. Their journal is very low key. It's not high
Beautiful.
gloss color,
Hmm.
but the writing in there is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And your 4 poems, Mother of Pearl, just blew my mind.
Oh wow, thank you.
Blew my mind. Yes. And the mother, and I don't have it in front of me, and I should. The wolf and mother poem.
Mhm.
Is that Where the Wolf? The first,
That's the first poem in the book, actually. It's called First Night.
yeah,
So,
First Night. And such a fantastic, and we'll hear your poems in a second, and then I can talk about them after. But you blend, you know, the confessional, or you know, the personal, the lyrical personal, with just just such intelligent language.
thank
So
you.
it's such beautiful language. What's the one about mock?
Oh, Mox Principle. I'm gonna read that tonight. So
Yeah, I was like, wow, I need to take more science, but it was beautiful. So I'm really happy to have you. You're the only person I've ever invited in a year and a half. Who wasn't part of Stone Coast to come on, and I'm so glad you're here.
thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely welcome. So Sally, this is your time. We'll let you read, and we'll come back at the end.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'm gonna be reading from Where the Wolf, which is it came out in June 2021 from Diode Editions, and it's a collection of poems that is in many ways about threshold moments, moments of adolescence and or middle age, both of which I know a little something about. But it blends in elements of fairy tales and does so in order to sort of explore kind of the strangeness of those liminal moments and to express some of the trauma and look for from some healing to some extent. But I won't start with the healing. I'm going to start with the danger because that's where most fairy tales begin. I'm going to begin with a wolf, with an early poem in the book that actually includes the title. And this wolf is a she wolf, and the poem is called Is She. You think this is a poem where the wolf, the forest, after all, is a sleeve of glass daggers. You, the girl, cold throat, wet shoes. Wolf is the ghost of a hurt remembering itself. Is she? You can hear her between trees. You can see the ghost her mouth was, weaving wet fur in the shards. If the forest is an altar built in the crack of your lost one's femur, then this is the moment when the girl is you kneeling before it. Wolf says, the scarlet bird is the one with a scar in it. Wolf says, gather stones. Will be the end of the story of the wolf, moving slowly across the sentence you have been speaking since before you were born. You say what a stone says in the pocket of your dress and forget you were ever a wing. So that poem introduces a wolf who lingers, who winds her way through this collection of poems, which is really about daughterhood and motherhood, and really is about a family that fractures. It kind of traces those dispersed pieces. And so the next poem is a poem about another threshold, but actually a literal threshold, one that a daughter crosses from her mother's house to be with her father once they have, just as they have separated. So the beginning of a fractured family. And this one's a little hard for me to get my imagination around right now because it's April outside my door and this is about a different season. It's called Dear October. By the soft collar you claimed me, season of early dark, October at my pin curl's end. My father was now a Wednesday night, a Nova in the drive. The sedan pulled up at 6, horn hurtling through the bricks, his headlights fixed mist in the front room glass. And my mother, unwived for weeks, already down in the den, sleeping the dahlias off. Cold month, you turned me 11, purse in hand, buttoned and clasping at the mirror, ready, unready, afraid. Dear stairs, dear ladder of stars, how do I climb down to wet gravel away from her? Where would I hold my purse? What could I keep inside? There was no prayer for this, no kindness. Dear branch gusting between porch and windshield rain, whose girl are you? Do you lift your head or bend? Dear October, dear door, by the garnet sleeves you held me, by the braid. So a lot of these poems are about being a daughter, but some too are about being a mother. And I feel like they're all about vulnerability, these moments of change in children's and parents' lives. The next one is definitely about the terror of motherhood. It's called And Ryegrass and Wind. When we drove by the field where the horse always stood, the chestnut named Loretta, you'd move your small hand to the glass, say, horse. You'd circle your hand in the air to ghost the mall carousel. I'd say, but those horses aren't real. You'd say, nay. And one day the field had no horse in it. One day the air was a hole all the nut brown reel had fallen through. That day you splayed your hand on the glass and said, horse, the way you'd say, milk, and there was only thistle and a lip of light. The next day there was a paper on the fence, some child's crayon paper of a horse, and you made me drive to the fence and climb out and touch the muddy sheet. Or we'd drive and park in front of the raw, unstained grass, our windows up, and watch the brown crayon lick the wet pulp dripping from last night's rain. You'd bring your cup of red juice or a book in the car. And you are, two arms lifting and spinning. You are nosing the glass, and I am your mother. I am the one who is supposed to save you, my flank, my gamble, my mane, who can never save you, my flesh, my field, my whinny, my clover hair. I'm just going to read 3 more poems. The next one is another one of these adolescence liminal space poems, and it's the one that Troy referred to earlier. So it's got a little bit of physics in it, but not too much because I don't understand a lot of physics. So this one is called Self-Portrait with Mach's Principle, 1981. And if you don't know Mach's Principle, that's fine. I barely understand it. What I know, I have in the epigraph from a guy named Paul Davies, who wrote, quote, Mach insisted that acceleration can be defined only relative to the distant stars. So it's all about context. Self-Portrait with Mock's Principal, 1981. Who can measure the dread between this girl and the distant stars? Does it diminish when she's spinning out in the Rumsey's field, arms flung wide, hands learning their pitch and roll through twilight, while ironweeds mark her sandals with crushed buds? When she slows, is she sick with blooms or doubt? These days, she gets dizzy when her father's Nova revs into the drive, each visit too quiet, an uncertain orbit. Or in her brother's empty room, circling the stack of warm shirts he didn't take to school. And at night, when a man's voice on the radio almost fills the house where there are no longer men, darkness trembling in its thin hairline hum. What helps her is the blue sheet of her mother's cigarette pulled soft across her lungs, or the gold book open in the grass to Jacob and that winglet ladder. And then the smell of sweet gum when her face spins past. These days she gets dizzy sitting still. For instance, at dinner, is there a way to gauge the tilt of the old white table toward the future? Vow of her father's phone yanked from the wall, slow pull of her mother's chin toward the system of spoons and heavy plates? And who could factor in the coming dark? The galaxy waits in the field, intimate, for her to drop the book, whirl and wheel. It reaches cold fingers down. On nights like this, she knows it fears as she fears, with broken awe, soft and vast, which means she can move round and round inside it, boundless and belong. But who can reckon the drag of salvation? A force that cries out to her now, calling her body unfixed, that must stop turning, must stop and be unsafe again, be part of the field, the unfixed ground, must go home and lie down in her mother's house and learn to rest in the changing world. I've just got two more poems to read. As I mentioned in the beginning, there are elements of fairy tales in this collection, and there are sort of freelance fairy tales in this collection. And because part of what I was trying to do was capture the peculiar mood, as Tolkien puts it, of the fairy tale as a way to talk about making something that happened into a story, and thus better understanding and healing from it. All of which is to say, this next poem is a fairy tale in two short numbered parts, and it's called I Tell What Kind of Girl. 1. There was a girl once sewn into an elm. She thought a fox set her there. Softened against the stitches, she tamed their cries by hand, but this girl wed her bones to desire. Her longing sang, soured through heartwood. And then her hurt burned her through, broke from buds and flooded the fields in all her white wings. It must have been good. 2. There was another girl trapped in a tooth. She rose and fell in the wind's cool mouth. She was afraid to invent a body she could leave, so she stayed there, and the wind held her. In mutual dread, they sang, they circled the meadow. She believed she needed a fox's heat to find her skin, to open a white door and let her down into the grass. But none could come inside, where the walls were December smooth and cold. It wasn't like ice. It wasn't like anything you know. Through the white door, she could hear the pinched hearts of asphodel, and then it opened, like mercy, like breath, when she began to tell. So the last poem I'm going to read And I want to thank you, Troy, again, and Natalie for reading with me. This has been wonderful. This final poem is called Mast Year, and a mast year is a year when there's a plethora of acorns. It's a great year to be a squirrel. So this poem also is a kind of fairy tale, speaking to the experience of being an adult daughter whose mother has dementia and no longer necessarily remembers her, remembers when she was born, remembers who she is when she sees her. And what I wanted to do is to sort of capture not that particular experience, but the kind of act of telling, like the last poem talked about, that creates room for healing, a new story to go in the place of the absence that is what's forgotten between mother and daughter. So this poem is called Mast Ear. Now that my mother forgets me, I will stop being born. Instead, I'll tear from pine bark skin and end curled in this wood, where it is always brown leaf and piano dusk, where foxes wait to nudge my soft crown. In a mast year, wood seeds fill the velvets of old trunks, where moss sweetens them in sleep. The foxes, also dreaming, judder their nut brown lids. I will not be my mother's doll or cradle, and will be theirs, red-furred, for keening, until the branches teach me to creak. It's their story I'll tell if I ever speak. My mother still knows what a mast year is, remembers red oak stones she once called the color of our hair. Surfeit, brim dream, glut, blood night acorns tick and swell, don't need a future. But I will still know her, no matter how full I am of their dark fruit, how far from her twilight tongue. Thank you.
It's hard not to ask for more, but such fantastic poems, Sally.
Thank you.
And I remember Paul Davies from years ago. He would write sort of deist books, right? That Paul Davies sort of
that a passage from him came from a book that I used as a book of prompts, and it was something like, it wasn't written by him. It was something like some number of physics ideas that everyone should know. So my original plan had been, I'll open up and each day I'll read a physics idea that's summarized and they pull from different authors, and then I'll write a poem about it. But I didn't make it past Mach's principle. But yes, he was quoted in there. There was a passage from him. I think they were just trying to kind of.
But you used that so intelligently for the girl spinning under the stars. There are places where your language seems a little surreal to me.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Mother sleeping the dahlias off. That is one of my favorite lines in that poem. That and the final line about the braid. I like every line in that poem. Is dahlia a pill, or is that just the dahlias, like the flower?
Well, it was, yes, it's the flowers, but it's a metaphor for what she's sleeping on. So, which can be both literally what she's taken to sleep and also what it is she's trying to forget in sleeping. So yeah, and it's all those things.
You understand how brilliant that is?
I do not. But I'm glad you think so.
Sleeping the second all off, sleeping the bourbon off, sleeping the single malt scotch, whatever, but sleeping the dahlias off. So just my hair lifts on my body, like the line, my clover hair. That the way that you intermix human consciousness and anatomy with the natural world. And that elm and tooth poem, I had not seen that before because I didn't know I could buy the Wolf Diet editions, which I'm going to do right after the show. That was fantastic.
Thank you. A lot of it's so funny. These poems you're pointing out, they're all poems that are sort of like the third or fourth try on working with material. So if there's any there's any takeaway from this, it's that don't stop. I mean, the first poem I wrote about that horse was a completely different poem. And I think the more I kept coming back and rewriting and trying again, the more surreal the work got. And that helped me. The fabulism gave me a door in
Yes.
to a kind of emotional experience that I didn't have when I was just describing, the horse or the couch or whatever.
You didn't read Mother of Pearls, but
Not.
that extended metaphor through there about, what is it, when I open her letters, out comes 100,000 pearls, something like that, 10,000 pearls. In those little sections, that poem is so fantastic, Sally. And you do the same thing there, what you just described. And thank you for explaining and teaching me how you did that.
Well, no, I mean, I do feel like elements of fabulism that worked their way to this project changed the direction of the project and made it so much more, gave me so much more to work with.
And were you reading someone who inspired that? Or
Gosh, I would have to say, Bridget Pegeen Kelly's The Orchard and Song were both, in terms of creating that mood, that strange sort of half fairy tale world. She was a big influence. And the way poets like Louise Glick have used mythology has been really inspiring. And the way Lucille Clifton uses voice, uses persona. I mean, I kind of feel like it's coming from a lot of different directions, and I don't hold a candle to any of those writers, but they were all influential, I think, in these.
I think you do hold a candle, actually, to all of those writers.
But that strangeness, like revising in the direction of the strange helped me so much with all of these poems.
But it's the right strange. I can only convince people if they buy your book and read it. And if you ever trust anything I've said, in anyone out there, then you need to buy the book, because like in the first one, the wolf is out there lurking. What is the poem in Cave Wall? What's the title of that poem?
First Night.
First Night, yeah. The first night when the father is gone, right? And the mother's there with children.
The wolf comes into the yard, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that is such a powerful metaphor.
I think I found my ideal audience, Troy. From now on, I'll just send poems directly to you. So.
Yes, I will be happy to give you any suggestions or read whatever you've got, because I'm a tremendous fan. And like I said, I've read a lot of stuff, and I don't like a lot of stuff. I don't like talky, conversational. I don't like poems that could be a Facebook post, right? Because they're, sort of like, sorry. But I know when you mention writes like that, but your work is crafted, which is what I think every poet from Stone Coast that comes on here has brought. Crafted work. That's what I think the program emphasizes. But and I love that. But that fabulous direction, like you said, how you described that surreal sleeping the dahlias off, I'm telling you, that's like something out of Anne Sexton. It is just brilliant. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, Transformations was also a big influence. I mean, she took on those fairy tales and voice in incredible ways. So.
Well, I could talk to you forever. If you teach a class, I want to find out about it, because I'd like to take it.
Well, I teach at the Poetry Barn, so come on by. Yeah.
You have to go there in person?
No. Those are online classes. They're async online classes.
Yeah, I mean, I work, all that stuff, right? But I'm not kidding. I think I can learn a lot from you, and I'm very happy to see any work you want to share. I'm going to bring Natalie back.
Yes.
Natalie.
Hello.
You both managed to scare me tonight, but in different ways. What do you think?
I thought that was amazing, and I thought it was so interesting how, we obviously didn't discuss what we were going to read, and we both felt kind of twisted, like mythical childhood with a kind of adult edge.
Right. No, the creepy girl vulnerability thing. I thought that's a perfect match. I was listening to your stuff, and I did not want you to stop. It's incredible, and it was really interesting. The aesthetic, the kind of like creepy, fairy tale-ish, I don't know, mythic.
Yes, and I'm in total admiration of anyone who can write a poem. I feel that's so far from my comfort zone, and just to hear you read so beautifully. Thank you so much.
It was great to hear you too. I was creeped out in the best way.
Yeah, maybe that brownie thing planted a seed in your heads when you were young, right?
Maybe so.
The elf.
We have the brownies to thank. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to throw a wolf in their pack. And
just teasing. But Natalie, I think I mentioned your story. The porch swing is in Darksire. It is incredibly good. I still have not forgotten the images there on the swing. I remember thinking, I know she wasn't on drugs when she wrote this, but that was vision, man.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Well,
Apart from I will deny because it's being recorded.
you don't have to tell us. I mean, that's just you, your husband, your cat. But so original. So Darksire, the porch swing, the award-winning story. And then you are shopping your novel right now, which is Twist Me and Turn Me.
Yeah.
We look forward to see that. And Sally just read from her new book of poems, Where the Wolf. Sally, your second book is Asters. And what is your first book?
No Eden.
No Eden. Okay. And you teach at the Poetry Barn,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually physical. Isn't it a real barn?
There is one. It's in New York. Yeah, Alyssa Kiernan runs it, and I believe she has a Stone Coast relationship. I don't know what the exact nature.
I
but
know
she's
her
in,
from somewhere.
but I believe it's near Woodstock, New York. But I have not been to the bricks and mortar. Oh, it was probably not made of bricks because it's a barn, right? I haven't been to the actual building, but I've just taught online for them and love it. Love the classes there, and took a lot of classes there. It's a great place.
So good. Yeah, after the MFA, it's hard because you want to keep MFAing and it's over.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for a tremendous evening. It was Easter, right? It could have been Halloween or solstice or something, but I guess Easter has some pagan roots that I don't know. So it all works together. All this beauty and archetypal thinking, strong female voices tonight. I'm so grateful for you both for coming. And we have next week, I believe we have Jennifer Dupree, I think Melanie Brooks and Alicia Emerson with her. I have to double check on that. We are next week. And then May 1st, definitely Alexis Page, who just had a book come out, Work Hard, Not Smart, Nikki Patton and Amanda Johnston, who have read together before. Three friends with fantastic fiction, nonfiction, and poetry. So wonderful to have you both, Sally, Natalie. I'm sure I will see you again in some context, if not back on here. Have a great evening, everybody. Happy Easter. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you.